This was in the aftermath of the bear market. He invested $10.6 million for a stake in the Washington Post. He believed the company was worth about $400 to $500 million, but was selling for about $100 million in total market cap. He wrote a letter to the publisher, Katharine Graham, in June 4th, 1973, introducing himself. "I'll never buy another share unless you personally okay it." They became close friends. Graham later said, "It was like going to business school with Warren Buffett." The investment ultimately returned more than 100x.
Wow.
And this is full circle because he used to work for the Washington. I mean, this is him basically coming around saying, "I used to work for you. I'm buying you, buying you.
I can do it better.
Buying you, buying you. I remember working for you. I own the place now. I own the building now."
It's gotta be such a good feeling.
Right?
It's gotta be such a good feeling.
Oh my God. So he bought the Nebraska furniture market. This immigrant, Mrs. B, who had built the store into the largest furniture store in America. Legend has it Buffett bought the business on a handshake, no due diligence, no inventory, no audit. Mrs. B was 89 at the time and continued working until she was 103. No kidding, dude.
I think that's also kind of talks to you about his reputation and the way he does business. You know, you can tell when somebody is willing to do that kind of business over a handshake, why they're going to get so upset when over verbal agreement you short me an eighth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's very important to him that his reputation is
like precedes him.
It precedes him, and it's also upheld. You know, I mean, a lot of people who are billionaires want their legacy to be, you know, untouched and everything like that, but it's something that he actively, I think, tries to protect.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of being, just a trustworthy person, not necessarily like a nice or good person, but I would say a trustworthy person.
You can trust my word.
Yeah.
And if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it, even if it's I'm going to pay $100 million for you.
Yeah. Well, it's so interesting because words really have power, and being able to, and they have leverage. And people say that if you, for instance, if you have your word, there's like a lot of power in your word, and I think people just think about it in being able to speak, but you can get things done faster if you have, if people trust your word.
If they trust your word,
you can leverage that and be like, "Hey man, I'm good for it." Okay, if you're good for it, that means I can go and do these different things.
Right.
We don't have to go through all this diligence. But I also think he spends so much time researching that when he goes out here and he does a handshake deal, he's only doing handshake deals with people that he's trusted and vetted.
That's true.
And knows that they're good for what they.
Yeah, I can't walk up to him and get a handshake deal for $100 million.
I don't know you. Yeah. So, yeah, there's that. And then 1988, he begins in beginning of 1988, Buffett spent approximately $1 billion to acquire 7% stake in Coca-Cola, about 400 million shares. The average cost was approximately $2.60 per share, split adjusted. The investment was a direct descendant of the See's Candies lesson, a globally recognized brand with extreme pricing power, minimal capital requirements, and a product people consumed daily. Can be a great investment.
Oh yeah.
And then became the largest shareholder in Coca-Cola. Berkshire has never sold a single share. The position has generated over $11 billion in dividends alone and is worth approximately $25 billion on a $1.3 billion investment. And then just to bring that home, Buffett at the 1997 shareholder meeting, if we hadn't bought See's, we wouldn't have bought Coca-Cola. You can see See's Candies is a significant part of the credit for the $11 billion plus profit we've gotten from Coca-Cola. And so decisions compound too.
Yes.
When you make good decisions, you can see that reflected in later decisions, but the same with bad decisions as well too.
Yes. Yeah, your experience is what he's using now to compound and make these moves that he can eventually be like, all right, king me.
Yeah. Yeah. And what's interesting is it also plays into the idea of the whole float idea, where when a company that you acquired is paying dividends, that's also, it's not necessarily float in the insurance sense, but it is cash that you have coming in that you can use to go and invest.
Does Berkshire Hathaway pay dividends?
No, they don't.
They own a lot of companies that pay dividends, right?
Yeah. Because
that's interesting.
And I think one of the reasons why is like, if they're basically making the claim, I don't know if they've explicitly done it, but the implicit claim that your money's better off with me. And so if I
Yeah.
pay you a dividend, you're probably not going to be able to get as much out of
Yeah.
it as I would
That's
with that money.
yeah.
And so if you hold it and you can hold the Berkshire for as long as you can, then you're probably going to be better off.
I like that conviction.
Yeah.
And it's a quiet part a lot of people won't say out loud.
Mm-hmm. And another thing too is he's very adamant about, hey, and this is why in his shareholder letters, I believe that he's very open and honest and tries to establish trust by admitting his mistakes.
Yeah.
And leading with his mistakes is, he says, you guys are trusting me with your life savings and your money, and I take that very, very seriously. And so I want to be very open and honest and give you the clarity that I would expect from somebody
Managing my money.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
there's very few people in the world that would have that clarity. And so
Yes.
I think that's partially why he's like, hey man, we're not trying to go and pay out the dividends, but we will grow the value of this company. And he has.
Oh yeah. Very successfully.
Yeah.
And that was in what, 97?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So just a couple other ones we're not going to go into. They invested in Gillette. They invested in BNSF Railway, Dairy Queen, Duracell, Apple, and just the makeup of their investments. You see it in insurance, you see it in some consumer product goods, you see it in the railways and transportation.
Yeah.
And you just see that spread there.
Yeah. And then I know for the last 20 or so years he's been very concerned about secession
Mm-hmm.
and how that's supposed to work.
Yeah. I mean,
You know?
he recently just retired. I think we brought this up before, as the chief executive, and now he's just the chairman.
Right.
But there is that shift. So a couple other things right here, which I think you were teeing up, is the whole Salomon Brothers crisis, where he said, "I will be ruthless."
Yeah.
So the Salomon Brothers were one of Wall Street's most powerful investment banks, and they were caught in this whole treasury bond scandal. The trader Paul Moser had been submitting false bids to purchase more treasury bonds than permitted between December 1990 and May 1991,